Hello everyone, I'm Kim from Yesterday's Tomorrows. Let me show you how to create a floral shabby chic jar by just using a jar I got it out of the Target dollar spot. Now I'm just taking the jar and I'm just painting it in an antique white color. You can do any color you wish. I just want this to look vintagey and shabby chic. Now I'm just painting the top also. Then we're going to be using some Decoupage Queen rice paper to put on the top and on the container also. It's going to be a cute little jar. Look how cute that paper is. It's so vintagey. I just love it. All right, so I'm cutting out the ones I'm going to be using. There's 4 different patterns in that decoupage paper. All right, so I'm using Pink Couture Decoupage Medium. That's my favorite decoupage medium to use. And I'm just putting one thin coat. Now I'm putting the paper on, and I'm using my favorite little scraper tool there to make sure that there's no bubbles in it. I'm drying it, and now I'm just sanding the sides off. Look how simple and easy that is. And I use a grit of sandpaper 120. It just helps getting the rice paper off quicker. All right, so now I'm going to be putting the flower paper on. Now I'm just doing it. I'm just have a water pen, and I'm just sort of like fussy cutting. If you know what fussy cutting is, but you could do it with scissors. Well, now I'm just fussy cutting it with a water pen. So I'm just outlining where I want it, and then I'm just tearing it, if you could see like that. And it gives it a nicer finish when you apply it to your jar. All right, so I just need a little bit more. And I'm just loving these water pens. You can get them anywhere. Hobby Lobby, Michael's, even Amazon carries them. So now I'm just seeing if it's going to fit on my jar. And it looks like it should fit okay. All right, so now I'm just taking my Pink Couture Decoupage Medium again and putting a light coat where I'm going to put my decoupage paper. And then we're just going to put it on and brush some more Decoupage Medium over the top of it. Now it hangs down a little bit on the bottom. That's okay. Just pounce into the little edges right there. And then you can let it dry and you can sandpaper it off. But if you're impatient just like me, I'm just taking my scissors and cutting it off. And putting a little Decoupage Medium, and voila, it's done. All right, so now I'm drying it because now I'm going to add some stamping to it. I think it's going to give it a really pretty, more shabby chic vintage look. Now that stamp with all the little teeny writings on it, I just got it on Amazon. And I'm taking my favorite stamp color called Cinnamon. And I'm just putting it on the stamp. And if you could see, I'm randomly putting it on here and there. I'm not taking the whole stamp and applying it on. I'm just taking little pieces of each part of the stamp and putting it on there. So that stamp, the ink comes from All Paint Products. If you're interested, my link is on my Facebook page, Yesterday's Tomorrows, All Paint Products, and it's called Cinnamon. I just love love it. It's almost like it's a little darker than a light brown. It's so pretty. Now I'm just stamping also a little bit on the decoupage paper also, just so it looks like it's been on there forever. Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to take the ink, put it around the edges of the top of my jar to give it an aged look. Look how pretty that looks. And then I'm going to just take my dabber and put it around the sides of the jar also, just to give it a more vintagey look, an aged look. Now look how pretty that's going to look on top. I have a little it's a knob for a door, and the bottom was gold, so I'm just taking a little bit of my antique white paint and putting it on there so we can get rid of the gold. And now I'm just going to glue it to the top of the jar, and it's going to look so pretty on there. Doesn't that look so pretty? Look how nice that came out. It's just a little jar from the Target dollar store part of Target, and voila. Hello everybody, I'm Kim from Yesterday's Tomorrows. Let me show you how to make a spring/Easter bunny for your home decor. Now I'm just taking the color Waverly. It's by Waverly and it's called Celery. It's such a pretty green. And I'm just taking this white rabbit that I found at Michael's. It comes in a 2-pack, and it's in the section where you find projects for children to do, believe it or not. All right, so this needed 2 coats, so I'm just putting on my second coat of celery. And then after I do that, we are going to do something that's called wet distressing. So now I'm just taking my baby wipe just like that. Now you don't want to dry your rabbit too much, or it's going to be hard to take the paint back, if that makes sense. Okay, so see what I'm doing right here? Taking my baby wipe, and I'm just removing a little bit of the green here and there, and now I'm getting a really pretty distressed look for the rabbit. There we go. See how pretty it looks? Now you can take off as much paint as you want, or if you don't like the distressing look, you can just leave it alone and just leave all the green on there. I kind of like the distressing look because I like something that looks a little vintagey, old. I don't like anything that looks brand new. So by doing this, it's looking like this rabbit has been there for a while and some of the paint has worn off. All right, so after I finish distressing it with my baby wipe, you're going to want to dry it, because then we are going to be stamping it with an IOD stamp, and it's called Kindest Regards. All right, there we go. It's all done. All right, so just dry it real quick, and then we're going to stamp. Now, the Kindest Regards stamp is an IOD stamp, and we are going to be using the color ink called Spice Cinnamon. It's really, really pretty. Now, there's the stamp. Love this IOD stamp. If you're going to invest in an IOD stamp, invest in this one. You will use it. I can't even tell you how many times I've used it. You will use it a million times. Now, we don't want to make this stamp the star of the show. So I'm just pressing it on. If you can see, there we go. We lay it down, and I'm just giving it a light tap. I just want the stamp to be faint in the background. And if you can see, I'm just running my fingers over it a little bit, and there you go. It's just very, very faint in the backdrop. Okay, so now I'm just using from Essential Stencils the Spring Bunny transfer. These transfers are really pretty, really, really pretty. All right, so I chose the transfer I want with the two little bunnies on there with the flowers. And now you just take a transfer stick. If you lose your transfer stick, you can use anything you want, even the back of a spoon, a credit card, or if I used one time a butter knife. So it doesn't really matter, just anything to get it to adhere. All right, so you just take your transfer stick just like that, and you rub it down, and then you just pull it off, not like a Band-Aid. Go slow to make sure that it sticks. If you see a part that didn't stick, just place your plastic right back down, give it another rub, and it'll stick back on. And there we go. And then just take your two fingers and make sure that it all is stuck to your project. All right, so now I'm going to make a little bow for the bunny. Now this is called Seam Crinkle Ribbon. I'm wrapping it around my fingers 5 times. Then I just take it in the middle, wrap the end around just like so. And then I just take my glue gun and glue it around the middle. Then after the glue is dry, then you just want to fluff it out like you do any bow. So this is called Seam Crinkle Ribbon. I just love this kind of ribbon. It's so pretty. It just gives it a vintagey kind of a look for a bow. All right, so now we're just gluing it to the bunny, and then the bunny needs a little sparkle, I think. So I just took a little bit of Totally Dazzled, just a little button right there, and I'm going to put it right in the middle. He needs a little bling. So now we're just going to glue the little bling down to the bunny. And then we are going to also give it a little bit distressing around the edges. So what I like to do is I like to take the same ink that I used, the Spice Cinnamon, and I'm just going to edge out the bunny. I always like to finish my projects by edging them out. I think it just gives it a finished look. And also it gives a little bit more, it ages it a little bit more, which I love. I want this bunny to look like he's old and he's been around there for a while. So see, if I'm just going around the edges, just like so, with my little, I call it a dabber. I'm not sure what you call these little things that you put the ink on, but I call it a dabber. All right, so there we go. And isn't he cute? How adorable is he? And you can use this in any of your spring or Easter decor projects. Come follow me on Yesterday's Tomorrows. Hello everyone, welcome to Yesterday's Tomorrows. Let me show you how you can just take some scrap wood and turn it into some beautiful home decor. All right, so I'm just taking the scrap wood and I'm just painting it in a light gray from All Paint Products. You can use any colors you want, whatever color is going to match your home decor. I'm just using gray, and so I'm just painting it gray. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do some Crackle finish. So I'm just taking plain old Elmer's glue, Elmer's school glue, and just pouring it onto my piece of wood. Now remember, the thicker the glue you put on, the bigger the the crackle that you're going to get. So I'm putting it on thick because I want my crackle to really show. I want it to be thick. If you put a thin coat of glue on, your crackle will appear finer and smaller, if that makes sense. All right, so you want to dry it, but not dry it all the way. Only dry it so it's tacky. If you dry it all the way, you will not get the crackle finish. All right, so right now you can see it a little bit, so that means it's just tacky. All right, so I'm just taking a white to put over it, and I'm using Waverly Cashew. All right, so now we're just putting it on, and I think it needs a little bit more drying. I'm just going to dry it just a little bit. I always get afraid it's not dry enough. All right, so now I'm just pouring the paint on just like that, and you want to go in just strokes. You do not want to go back and forth over your glue, or you're going to ruin the crackle finish the way it comes out. All right, so just go over it. The least amount of strokes you can do for your paint, the better off it's going to be. All right, so now you're just going to dry it. And if you can see when I'm drying it, you can see already the crackling starting to appear. And I just love this part of it all, watching the magic happen. All right, so I see it starting to crackle, and I'm loving it. And you can see the gray popping through in the crackling. So can you see the crackle is pretty thick there, and that's because I put my glue on thick. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to do some stamping. This is a stamp. It's an IOD stamp. It's called Queen Bee, and I'm just taking black ink. Mine is redesigned with Prima ink. You can use whatever ink that you want. This is just plain old black. I like to use ink that's waterproof. So this redesigned with Prima is, but you can use archival ink, any ink that is waterproof. All right, so you put your stamp down and you just press it down just so you make sure that all the stamp is being pressed down into your paint, so you get a really nice finish. And then there we go. Look how cute it came out with the bee and the crown. And now I'm putting on a really, really pretty vintage inspired transfer by Redesign with Prima. And I just love the way the roses go with the crown and the bee. All right, so now I just folded it just so I can make the creases so I know exactly where I need to cut it. If you wanted to go over the edges, you don't have to cut it. I wanted mine to be smooth on the wood. All right, so now I'm just putting my transfer down using my handy-dandy transfer stick that comes with the transfer inside the container. And I'm just giving it a good rub. And once you rub it, you want to start lifting it off from one end. And you don't want to rip it off like a Band-Aid. You want to go slowly so you make sure that your transfer is down pretty securely. All right, so if you lift it up and you see a part of the transfer that didn't stick, you just place your plastic down again, give it another rub, and it'll stick down for you. See where I'm looking right now? It's not sticking, so I'm placing my plastic back down and giving it a little bit more of a rub, and there we go. And now it's starting to come off just like that. All right, so you might have to just give it a little bit more of a rub when you do the crackle finish, because you are putting down a couple of layers of paint and glue and stuff like that. So there we go. It's coming off, but just do it. Just remember, go slow and easy. Don't rush the process. You do not want to tear your transfer. But look how pretty that comes out. I think stamping and transfers are a match made in heaven. I just love the way that comes out. So now to finish off the project, I just like to finish it off by taking the same ink that I used in my stamping and going around the edges of my project, and I think it just finishes it off. Now look how pretty this is by just using some scrap wood, some stamps, and some pieces of transfer that you have left over, maybe from some other projects. So there it is. Enjoy. Hello everyone, I'm Kim from Yesterday's Tomorrows, and I'm going to show you today how you can just print out a beautiful rose just with regular printer paper and take some watercolors and turn it into something that looks aged and very vintagey. All right, so I'm just taking these watercolors that I purchased from Amazon. You can use any watercolors that you like. You just take your paper that you had printed out. I just printed it out right on my laser printer, and then I just wet it down with a mister bottle. Now you need the paper pretty wet, not where it's going to be falling apart, but you need your paper wet just so your watercolors move as you apply them. And that with the water on there, that's what's really giving the paper, it's going to be like a watercolor aged effect to the paper. Now, the first color that I'm using is a yellow color. Now, we're going to be putting 3 colors on. Now, right now you're probably going, oh no, yellow, it doesn't look so great, but keep with me, folks. Keep with me. It is going to look beautiful when it's done. All right, so now we're just putting the yellow all around, and now we're going with our second color, which is burnt sienna. And it's sort of like a yellowy orangey color. And we're applying some of that through the ends and in a little bit in the middle of the paper. And now the third color we're using is burnt umber, and that's more of a brown. So the brown is going to tie in the yellow and the burnt orange colors all together, and it's going to give this paper a really beautiful aged vintagey look, which I love. I love vintagey. I love aged. I love shabby chic. And with this watercolor, it's going to tie it all in together, and it's going to be beautiful. So once it's all done, you're just going to need to dry it. Don't be afraid when you're drying it. The paper might curl up because the paper has been wet. But we are going to be doing the iron-on method with it. So it will iron it down, and it will the curls that you get at the end of the paper when you dry it, it will disappear. All right, so we're almost done putting our watercolor ink. So it's 3 colors. It's yellow, it was burnt sienna, and burnt umber. All right, and then we are just going to be drying it, and then we're just going to take our tag that I just painted with an antique white from Paint Couture called Italian Ivory. All right, so now I'm just drying it, and you have to make sure your paper is totally dry when you're done. Make sure you turn it over, get the other side. There we go, just like that. You want to make sure your paper is 100% dry before you try to apply it to whatever project that you're going to be putting it on. All right, so then on our tag, I'm just going to be putting, isn't that cow so pretty? All right, so on my tag, I'm just going to be putting a coat of Paint Couture Decoupage Medium in satin. That's my favorite decoupage medium to use. And you just want to put 1 coat. Now, when you're using decoupage medium, just remember you don't need a thick coat. You just need a thin coat. I think that's one problem people have when they're decoupaging, is if you put too thick of a coat, it just doesn't lay as nice. You just really just need a thin coat. All right, so you put 1 coat, and then you want to dry it with your dryer, because we're going to be doing the iron-on method. You do not want to put this on it wet, because we have aged it with watercolors, and watercolors will reactivate if you put something wet back on it. So that's why we're doing the iron-on method. Now you want to take parchment paper, not wax paper, and with my handy dandy iron that I get from Walmart, we are going to iron it on just like so. There we go. And 1, 2, 3, and it's going to attach right to this cute little tag that we are creating. So cute. Now I'm just taking distressed archival ink in the color Ground Espresso, and now we are just blending the tag in with the beautiful rose paper that we just put on. Now you could also use archival ink vintage photo if you like. Ground Espresso is just a little deeper than the vintage photo, which I'm preferring to use for today. Now we're going to take our seam crinkle ribbon in green, and I'm going to make a cute little bow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times around my fingers. Leave a little edge out there just like that. Take it off your fingers, and there we go, right in the middle. Take the little edge around. Take your glue gun, tie the edge right down to the middle of the bow, and voila, you have such a cute little bow. I love my seam crinkle ribbon. Now just remember, fluff out the edges just like you fluff out any bow that you make. And these seam crinkle ribbon makes the cutest little bows. And look how adorable that is. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to glue gun it down. And then to the center of the bow, we are going to take, from Totally Dazzled, a piece from their for their antique bronze collection, and it's got pearls in it, which pearls always make me think of vintage. So we're putting a little pearl in there, just like that, and then we're fluffing out the bow again. I'm always fluffing out my bows. All right, and then we're just going to take a little bit more of the same crinkle ribbon, and there's a little hole in the tag, and we're just going to put the ribbon through the hole in the tag just to make a little handle for it. Look how cute, adorable. And isn't that cute? You can use this for Valentine's Day. You can use it just for your home decor. Have a wonderful day, everyone.